Evening, folks. Trust you all had a good weekend. I was meant to do this morning, but get busy, things happen, don't they? Anyway, let's watch that Savannah Marshall, Franchon Crews-Dezurn fight last night. Holy shit, that was a fucking hard one to get through. Jesus fucking Christ. That was like watching that Lawrence Okoli, Chris Williams-Smith fight. Just a big hug fest, and I got so fucking fed up with it. Marshall deserved the win. Don't get me wrong, she absolutely deserved the win. But it was just a fucking mess from the first bell. I thought, fuck me. Oh, I just couldn't fucking stand it. And punctuated by Claressa Shields. Now, I have a lot of respect for Claressa Shields, and to me, in my opinion, she's pound for pound probably the best female fighter in the world. Chantel Cameron will probably have something to say about that. But that's just my opinion. I've got a lot of respect for her. I think she's fantastic as a fighter. But God, all the way through that fight, all I could hear was her screeching fucking voice, screaming and screeching and yelling all the way through it. So much so that by the end of the fight, I had a fucking stinking headache. So it was just ugly from the start. It was like watching Okoli. Crews-Dezurn is another. She's a female Okoli. It was awful. I did not enjoy that fight at all. They were grabbing on, wrestling all the fucking time. Yeah, they were both pushing and shoving. They were both guilty of it, don't get me wrong. But that just seemed to be Dezurn's tactics all the way through the fight. It was just dive in there, grab a hold like she was going for a rugby tackle. It was fucking diabolical. I mean, obviously the cleaner punches were coming from Marshall. I pretty much gave Marshall pretty much every round. How that one judge had it a draw, I'll never fucking know. I don't know what fucking fight he was watching. That was dreadful. But, the right person won. I did find it humorous. I think it was after the second round. A Sky commentator, they went to speak to Claressa Shields in the... asked her opinion, and she was just like, oh, Marshall's not won anything. My friend Dezurn is dominating, and it was like, what? Fucking fight you watching? She's just grabbing hold and hanging on for dear life and getting jabbed in the fucking face. So Marshall won it. She deserved it. Congratulations to her. But I mean, it was for the undisputed super middleweight title, and I kind of thought to myself, it just illustrates what lack of depth there is in women's boxing when a big old lump like Dezurn, who is a glorified wrestler, she'd put fucking John Ruiz to shame for the wrestling all the time. And it just shows the lack of depth that someone like that could be the undisputed champion in the weight division. So, fuck me. Yeah, there's not a lot more I can say about it. Annoying thing that Marshall does now, she had the height and the reach advantage, and she kept crouching low and bullying in with her head at times, like with her head and shoulders. Just stand back. And when she did stand back and jab and put combinations together, or try to, behind the jab, it was effective. That's what won her the fight, in my opinion. But it was dreary. I'm so glad it was only 2 minutes. I always advocate women should fight the 3 minutes like the men do and have 12 rounds in world title fights like the men do. But that was one instance I was actually fucking glad they don't, because I couldn't have put up with an extra minute of every round and an extra 2 rounds on top of it. It was awful. Obviously, it looks like they're going to do Marshall versus Shields 2, probably a super middleweight. I kind of get it, because there aren't any big names anymore. There aren't any big names apart from each other to fight each other if they want the money. They are the two biggest names around those divisions at the moment, in my opinion. So, obviously, the Dezurn fight had to happen for Marshall, because obviously Marshall had nothing to bargain with. Oh, I want a rematch. Well, you've got nothing for me, so fuck you. I get it, and I understand it, and I would watch it. I was entertained by the first fight back in October. However, it'd be exactly the same result. Claressa Shields is another level, in my opinion. I love Savannah Marshall. I think she's wonderful for boxing. I think she's very skillful. skillful. That's good English, wasn't it? But I don't know. I can't see what she could do differently that would put Shields off. I think Shields she'll do the same thing. I don't think she'd stop her because she doesn't tend to hit very hard. But yeah, we'll see. So that concluded a pretty terrible main event, in my opinion. If you enjoyed it, that's fair play to you. But me, I didn't at all. Natasha Jonas picked up the IBF welterweight title. It was too one-sided again. Candy Wyatt, I believe. Was it Wyatt? I'm sure it was Wyatt. I'd never heard of the girl. I may have seen her name somewhere because I'll admit it. I've not been a huge follower of women's boxing until the last couple of years, really. Probably since the Rio Games, actually. So I'm still kind of learning who everybody is. I know all the big stars like Katie Taylor and Chantel Cameron and Cecilia Breakhouse and people like that. I know all they are, obviously, but I'm getting into it. I'm learning. I'm getting into it. But I'd never heard. I did think her nickname was Crush, like Candy Crush. That was quite amusing. But from round one, she was taking that straight left from Jonas. Jonas couldn't miss her with it. It went on a little bit too long, in my opinion. I think that her corner should have pulled her out because she was just getting bashed up, and she wasn't really offering any offense, really. So there you go. Natasha Jonas. It looks like she could be. It seems to be they're positioning Lauren Price, she just recently won the British welterweight title. They seem to be positioning her to fight Jonas in an all-British clash, which I wouldn't mind seeing that. Obviously Jonas has the experience, but it'd be interesting. So, but that was that really. And I watched this morning when I got up. I watched Jared Anderson's latest fight against Charles Martin. I wasn't expecting much from Martin. I mean, he was a fluke heavyweight champion. The only reason he won the vacant IBF title at the time, I think it was in 2016, is because his opponent missed the punch. So it was Glazkov, missed the punch and injured himself, and that was the end of that. So he won it by default, essentially, and then of course he got wiped out by Anthony Joshua in 2 rounds a few months later. So and he's not really inspired me ever since. Last time I think I actually remember watching a fight of his, he got bashed up by Luis Ortiz. So I didn't expect much. I thought Anderson might walk through him. Jared Anderson's being positioned as the American face of the heavyweight division, and America needs decent heavyweights. I mean, Wilder's still about, but he doesn't fight often anymore. So obviously he's kind of tied up with the whole Saudi thing at the moment. But no, I enjoyed the fight. Obviously I didn't expect it to last very long at all. It was a good learning fight for Anderson. He's he's not the finished article. I mean, this is only his 15th pro fight, and he's been fed a steady diet of journeymen and nobodies. As all boxers, all prospects are. Obviously, Charles Martin was the first test of his career. I don't think he passed it. He proved he can go to 10. He can go to a 10-round distance, so that was a good thing. He threw some nice combinations in there, but he did take a few. I got a bit concerned for him a couple of times. Old Charles Martin caught him with a couple of straight lefts, and they registered. You could see they registered, but he worked the body well. I mean, you don't really see too many heavyweights working the body. You just don't. It's not really part of a lot of heavyweight fighters' game. Really targeting the body, and I was quite impressed with Anderson landing a few body punches. Now, do I think on that performance that Jared Anderson is a world champion? I don't know. It's hard to gauge off that performance. I mean, he got the victory. He's in there with an experienced opponent, a former world champion, whatever that means. So, it was a test. I mean, Martin fought quite well. I was pleasantly surprised. I thought he'd fall over pretty early, and when he went down in the third, it was kind of a glancing blow, and he didn't seem too hurt by it. So I thought, oh well, we'll see how this goes. But yeah, he carried on fighting. He gave some problems. I mean, obviously, I think I had Anderson winning every round bar one. I think it was the fifth I gave to Charles Martin because he just outworked him in that round. And obviously towards the end of the 10th, right at the end of the fight, he landed a punch that kind of it registered, and I thought, oh, if you'd have done that earlier, we might have been talking about a different thing here. But no, it was a good win. It was quite entertaining. I say he's learning. He's learning. A lot of people criticise these prospects. Well, they're prospects for a reason. They're learning. They're learning their craft. You look back at any of the top heavyweights now, whether it's Fury, Usyk, anybody. Look at their early fights when they turn pro. They make mistakes. They don't look good all the time. I mean, look at, well, not even early, but look at Usyk. I mean, probably pound for pound one of the best in the world. He's probably, in my opinion, he's the second best heavyweight in the world behind Fury. I'm talking skill-wise. And you look at his fight with Chisora. Now, I watched that fight and I think he won it. A lot of people said Chisora got robbed. I don't subscribe to that, but he didn't look good in that fight. So you can go back to any prospect any fighter when they were prospects, and they're not polished. They're not the full article. They're still learning. This is what people just. We live in a society now. You want everything now. You want everybody to be a world champion now or whatever, and it's like, well, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that all the time, You guys have got to learn. They've got to learn on the job. They've got to get experience. It's like Nico Ali Walsh, Muhammad Ali's grandson. He's just come off a draw in a fight, and then I've seen people shitting on him all over the internet. And it's like, look, the guy, he's a young lad. He's only had a handful of fights. He's learning. You can't have him blowing everybody up all the time. Because what do they learn? They don't learn fuck all. Put them in with bums and chinless wonders. Knock everybody out. Oh, that's great. But then they get in there. I mean, it happens so often. We see it so many times, these guys. Padded records. And then they finally get somebody with a bit of skill and they get found out. You don't want that. You want them to fight decent people. You want to step them up gradually. It's a very difficult thing. Being, if you're promoting someone or you're managing someone or whatever, if you're a matchmaker. Because either way, you're wrong. You look at Eddie Hearn with people. He stepped them up with nobodies, and people criticise him. Oh, he needs to fight someone decent. They get him with someone decent, and they lose. And everyone says, oh, Eddie Hearn's the shits. He doesn't know what he's doing. Well, that's boxing. It's a sport. It happens. Just because you lose a fight doesn't mean your career's over. You've got to learn from these things. I mean, I blame the likes of Floyd Mayweather for this, protecting the undefeated record business. Yeah, because now they all want to be undefeated, and then when they do lose, everyone says, "Oh, you're shit." Like Ryan Garcia lost to Tank Davis a few months ago, and everyone's out there running him down. Oh, he's shit. Well, he's obviously not shit, is he? But he was just in there with a better guy. So, but there you go. That's enough out of me. I've finished my rant. I'm going to finish this smoke. I've got work tomorrow. That fucking dog barks all the time, and it drives me fucking insane if you can hear that, because it barks pretty much all day. So I'm going to go. Take care, folks, and I'll speak to you soon.